The first time the ambulance came in without a call, we were all in the break room watching the dispatch screen say 0 active runs. No siren, no radio traffic. Just the low rumble of a diesel engine on the ramp, like a ghost pulling up to the dock behind the hospital. Someone said, "We got a late drop-off?" The charge nurse checked her pager and shook her head. "Nothing pending?" But through the glass doors at the end of the corridor, I saw it. White box ambulance, hospital logo on the side, backup lights blinking as it settled against the curb. I remember the time because it froze in my head afterwards. 02:41 a.m. It's always around that hour when the hospital feels less like a building and more like something alive, breathing in the dark. My name is Eric, night paramedic, attached to the emergency department but running city calls when dispatch needs us. Our base is technically the hospital, but most nights we're in and out, moving between wrecked cars, tiny apartments, and the same 3 nursing homes that never have enough staff. On that night, we were doing something rare, resting. My partner, Mia, had her boots half off, the ED docs were caught up, the board was light, the dispatch terminal on the wall scrolled a quiet, comforting list of no active incidents in green. So when I heard the ambulance engine outside, I frowned. The radio on my belt was silent. The big console on the wall was silent. No ETA, no unit ID, no patch through from dispatch. I walked toward the glass doors. First curiosity, adrenaline waking up a second later. Through the reflection, I could see myself getting smaller as I approached, and the ambulance looming larger, backing up the final few inches. The rear doors swung open before I reached the ramp. A paramedic I knew climbed down. Same Navy uniform as mine, same patch, same logo. His name was Cole. We'd shared plenty of shifts, plenty of bad nights, but something about him was off. Not his face, not his movements, just the way he avoided looking straight at the building, like the hospital was a person he didn't want to make eye contact with. He rolled a stretcher down the rails by himself. There was a patient on it, strapped in, oxygen mask in place, pale under the fluorescent spill from the loading bay light. "Overflow from downtown," Cole said, as if reciting a script. "Paperwork will come through later." They were swamped. I looked toward the ED doors. No one else was there yet. No nurse waiting with vitals cart. No clerk with armband and clipboard. "What's the originating facility? Which station called you in?" He hesitated half a second too long. "Central. Busy night." Behind the mask, the patient's eyes fluttered. Middle-aged man, maybe early 50s. Sweat dried on his forehead in a salt line. Vital signs monitor clipped to the rails showed a heart rate in the 120s, blood pressure low but not crashing. "What's his story?" I asked, falling into reflex. "Chest pain? Respiratory? Neuro?" Cole's gaze flicked up to mine for the briefest moment. "Complicated. You know how it is." That wasn't an answer any paramedic gives another paramedic. Not at 0241, not on a quiet channel. By then, the ED doors swished open behind me. A nurse and tech hurried out, pushing a mobile monitor, the clerk jogging with a rolling computer station. "Room 6 is open," the nurse said, already hooking up a line. "Name and DOB?" Cole looked at me instead of her. "Like I said, paperwork later." They wheeled the stretcher inside. The hospital swallowed the patient like it always does. Bedding, lines, monitors, alarms. The doors closed. The ramp was suddenly quiet. Cole climbed back into the ambulance cabin. No radio crackle, no dispatch voice calling him back into rotation. "Hey," I said, taking a step toward the driver's side. "What unit are you on tonight? I didn't see you on the roster." He paused, one hand on the door. "Just covering." His voice sounded tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. "They'll sort it out." He shut the door before I could push further. The backup lights blinked once, twice, the engine hummed, and then without a single transmission over the radio, the ambulance rolled off the ramp and disappeared into the dark lot. When I walked back inside, the dispatch terminal still showed the same line in green letters. No active incidents. And under completed runs for the night shift, there was something even stranger. Our unit was listed, Mia and me. One transport to the ED logged at 02:41 a.m. Except we hadn't left the building all night. When I got back to the break room, Mia was scrolling her phone, boots finally off. "You take a walk or something?" she asked without looking up. "We just got an overflow from downtown," I said. "Cole brought him in. You didn't hear the engine?" She frowned and then glanced at the dispatch screen. Same comforting green line. No active incidents. "Cole's not even on tonight," she said. "He's swapped to days last month. Family stuff." I opened my mouth to argue, then closed it. There's a particular kind of tired that makes you doubt your own memory before anyone else's. "Come on," she said, standing with a groan. "If they're dumping extra patients on us, we might as well see what we're babysitting." We walked back through the sliding doors toward the ED. Room 6 was half closed, curtain drawn around the bed. I could see the shape of the man on the monitor. Heart rate hovering, oxygen sat low, but not terrifying. The nurse who'd met us on the ramp was at the computer, typing fast. "Rough night?" I asked. She snorted softly. "You tell me. You just brought him in." I stared at her. "No, that was Cole. I haven't..." She turned the screen slightly so I could see. Under Transporting Unit, the field read Medic 12, Crew, Eric Harlow, M. Ortega. My name, my unit. Vital signs entered at 0239. ED arrival 0241. Route direct, no diversion. "Nice work keeping him borderline," she added. "Docs think he would have coded if you'd been 5 minutes later." My throat felt tight. Did we give a report?" I asked slowly. "Yeah, you." She frowned now. "You okay?" I backed away before my face gave me away. In the small glass window of the trauma room door, I caught my reflection. Uniform neat, radio clipped, eyes a little too wide. Behind me, in the reflection, the hallway was empty. No Navy uniform passing by, no Cole. Back in the bay, I checked the unit logbook mounted on the wall. Paper rarely lies the way software does. Our rig was listed as in service. No call numbers, no signatures, no mileage entry since the previous run hours earlier. Nothing at 0241. Nothing at all. I told myself we might have been misassigned in the system. I told myself maybe I had drifted off, dreamed the engine, the ramp, the stretcher, the conversation. Then the second one came. 2 nights later, almost the same time, 0236 a.m. Another quiet board, another green, no active incidents. This time I was in the supply room, counting IV bags. The building has that hollow feeling only hospitals get when too many people are sleeping under the same roof. The radio on my belt stayed silent, but through the thin walls I felt, rather than heard, the low tremor of a diesel engine on the ramp. I stepped out, heart already speeding. From the far end of the hallway, I could see the pale rectangle of the loading bay windows. Backup lights blinking, ambulance backed in, same unit number, same logo. I didn't wait. I jogged. The rear doors swung open just as I reached the dock. Same Navy uniform climbing down, same tired face. "Overflow?" I asked before he could speak. He blinked, once, like someone had rewound him half a second. He said, "Overflow from downtown. Paperwork will come through later. They were swamped." There was a young woman on the stretcher this time. Early 20s, dried blood on her forearm bandage, pupils too big, oxygen mask fogging on each shallow breath. Her fingers twitched at the edge of the sheet as we moved her. I walked along on the opposite side, watching her face. "Ma'am?" I said, keeping my voice low. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes snapped open. For a fraction of a second, they focused, not on me, but past me, like she recognized the corridor. "Again," she whispered, the word muffled by the mask. "Not again. You promised." "What did we promise?" I asked, leaning closer. "They said last time was the last time. No more ambulance, no more lights, no more waking up here. What's your name? Her gaze flicked to my badge. Something like recognition and disappointment crossed her face. You always ask that. You never remember. The ED doors hissed open, drowning out anything else. The nurse took over, rolling the stretcher through, barking orders. The clerk trotted alongside, typing as she ran. Unit? The clerk called back to me. Medic 12, right? I stared at her. Did dispatch just call us in? She didn't even look up. You patched in yourself, Eric. You're already marked back in hospital. When I checked the dispatch screen 10 minutes later, the log was waiting. Call 8821, ALS Transport, Unit Medic 12, Crew Harlow Ortega, status completed. 2 silent ambulances, 2 patients with no origin we could name, and a system that swore I'd been the one to bring them in. Patterns are the only thing that keep you sane in this job. You see enough chaos, you start clinging to anything that repeats. I started a notebook. Not the electronic run sheets, not the official log. A cheap, spiral-bound pad I bought at the gas station on my way in one night. On one page, I wrote, 0241 a.m., middle-aged male, overflow from downtown, coal driving. System says Medic 12, me plus Mia. 2 nights later, 0236 a.m., young female, not again, you promised. Same script. System says Medic 12 again. Same unit, same fake report, same time of night window, like whoever or whatever was doing this only worked one specific shift. Mia watched me writing between calls, chewing on a protein bar. You're turning into one of those guys, she said. Red string on the wall, conspiracy boards. Next you'll be printing maps. Next I'll be asking dispatch why they keep logging runs we don't remember, I said. She paused at that. You're still on about that? I insisted. You saw the board, both times. No incoming units, no open incidents. She shrugged. Dispatch screws up sometimes. We all do. Let it go, Eric. But she looked away when she said it. If there's one thing paramedics are good at, it's pretending things don't bother us. I waited until just before 0230 the next night. The ED was steady but not drowning. My radio was quiet, the board was clear. Instead of hanging around the break room, I walked upstairs to the dispatch center. Most people forget it's even part of the hospital. A sealed room with smoked glass windows, half a floor above the ED, filled with consoles and headsets and exhausted voices routing panic all over the city. The night dispatcher, Carla, was alone at the main terminal. Her fingers danced over the keyboard while her eyes tracked 3 separate screens. You lost? She asked, seeing me in the doorway. Just bored. Thought I'd see how the grown-ups live. She snorted. Trust me, you don't want this job. What's up? I leaned on the frame, casual on purpose. Hey, quick question. Did we ever figure out where that 0241 overflow came from? The guy with borderline vitals? Which one? She said automatically. Then, after a second, oh, that cluster from 2 nights ago? And the girl after that, 20-something, forearm bandage, looked tired of the whole process. Carla frowned now, clicking through screens. Give me call numbers, or approximate times. They were both around 0240, I said. System logged Medic 12, but we were here. I never heard you dispatch us. Her eyebrows lifted a fraction. That's not how this works, she said slowly. If I log you, I dispatch you. If I don't dispatch you, you're not logged. She turned the monitor so I could see. Her screen showed a clean list of completed calls for the last 3 nights. The patients were there, same times, same arrival stamps,
Same diagnostic codes waiting for doctor signatures. But the origin column was wrong, not blank. Worse. For both calls, the origin read internal transfer, ED holding. That's impossible, I said. They didn't come from inside. They came in on the ramp. According to my system, Carla said, tapping the screen, you and Mia picked them up from our own holding area and brought them right back to us. That's not even a valid workflow. It shouldn't let me log that. Could someone have edited it? I asked. She shook her head. Time-stamped, locked after sign-off. See. Under each entry, the signature line is the same. Entered by C. Morales. Time, 02:42 a.m. Dispatch type, internal transfer. You wrote these, I said quietly. She stared at her own name a little too long. I don't remember doing it, but people say that a lot around here. People say what?
I started coming in early for the paycheck for 02:30. If the pattern was real, it would happen again. If it wasn't, then I had bigger problems than tired eyes and a full notebook. That night, the board was quiet. Mia was late, called in, said she'd be 20 minutes. I didn't mind. I wanted to be alone. I signed into the unit logbook at 02:19. Mileage, fuel, all normal. Our rig was parked in its usual bay, keys in the hook, doors shut. I ran my hand along the side panel, feeling the cold metal like I was checking for a pulse. At 02:32, the radio crackled once with distant traffic for another unit across town. Nothing for us. The dispatch board by the ED still glowed green. No active incidents. I walked down to the loading ramp and waited. The night air had that hospital smell that never really goes away. Disinfectant, exhaust, and something metallic under it all. The parking lot lights hummed. A few windows on the upper floors were lit, little islands of wakefulness. 02:38. I checked my watch, listened. The first sign wasn't sound. It was vibration. A faint tremor rolled through the concrete under my boots, like someone far away had dropped something heavy. Then, slowly, the low rumble of an engine bled into the edge of hearing. The ramp was empty. The driveway past the curve was empty. But my body recognized the sound before my brain allowed it. Diesel, idling, getting closer. I took 3 steps forward, toward the invisible noise. The hair on my arms lifted. Headlights slid around the corner of the building, carving out the shape of an ambulance, where a second before there was nothing. One blink and it wasn't there. Blink again, and it was, as if reality had missed a frame. Same unit number, same logo, same familiar silhouette in the driver's seat. The rig backed up to the dock, brake lights painting the walls red. The backup beeper sounded, but warped, like it was underwater, a half-second delayed. The rear doors swung open. Cole jumped down, boots hitting the ramp with a flat, echoing sound that didn't match the space. For a moment, his features seemed older, then younger, then settled into the face I knew. Overflow from downtown, he started. Stop, I said. He blinked. The script interrupted. The stretcher wheels clattered down. There was a patient on it again. Shoulders strapped, head turned away. I know what you're going to say, I told him. Paperwork later, they were swamped. You've been saying it for at least 3 nights. He stared at me, something like confusion and relief flickering behind his eyes. You shouldn't be here yet.
You're not supposed to stand on this side. I worked this ramp. This is my side. He glanced up at the hospital doors. You think this place is yours? You think being awake means you're in control? I stepped to the head of the stretcher, leaning over the patient. He was the middle-aged man from the first night. The same salt line of dried sweat. The same faint scar along his jaw. I saw him already, I whispered. We admitted him. He's upstairs, bed 4. Upstairs, downstairs, before, after. It doesn't care. It just keeps taking whoever we slide through the doors. Who's it? I asked. He shook his head slightly. You ever notice how the system fills in what you don't remember? Signatures you didn't sign? Calls you didn't take? Patients you swear you lost reappearing as if they're brand new? He looked at me. You think that's all burnout? The air felt thicker now, like the ramp was underwater. Behind us, the hospital loomed. All windows and angles, watching. Why us? Why this unit? Because we said yes. One too many times when we should have said no. One more mile, one more transfer, one more resuscitation on a body that didn't want to come back. The stretcher jolted once under my hand. The monitor clipped to the rails flickered. For a moment, the numbers on the screen didn't show vitals. They showed times. 0241, 0236, 0239, over and over, like a schedule. This is the part, Cole said softly, where you help me push him in, where you pretend you're just doing your job, and the hospital pretends it's just receiving another patient, and everything stays the way it likes it. I looked down at the man on the stretcher. His eyelids fluttered, barely a whisper of movement. Please, he mouthed, no sound behind it. My hands tightened on the rails. Behind me, through the glass doors, I could see the ED staff moving like actors on a stage. The nurse with the rolling monitor, the clerk with the computer, the attending glancing at his watch. They were waiting. Not for me, for the shape of the story they were used to. Ambulance, handoff, chart, admit, code, pronounce. What happens if I don't push? Cole's smile was small, sad. Then maybe something breaks. Maybe for you, maybe for him, maybe for this place. The engine idled, steady as a heartbeat. The hospital lights hummed,